Hey, good afternoon. Chuck here with Apple Drains. You don't hear me say that often, but usually it's good morning. But I just came from a meeting with the golf course community, the Homeowners Association. They've got a new association president. This is in Lakeland, and if you remember, we've done a whole bunch of work out here. I've showed you guys videos of putting in the curb drain, the sump pump, cleaning the storm drains. Well, the new association president, as well as the board members, are concerned about sinkholes. And so they asked me to come down. They also brought the site engineer in, and I explained to everyone about retention ponds and detention ponds and how they work. And in this community, there's the golf course, and it's kind of the same way everywhere across the country. There's a golf course, and then there's the development that goes around the golf course. Normally, they are not the same company. In other words, they're two different entities. So you've got, the golf course, they maintain their systems, and you've got the HOA that maintains their systems. But let me show you what's going on here. It might help you understand also, if you've got that yard that's soggy wet all the time, and you're in a development, let me show you something that I think you'll understand after you see the video, why your yard stays so wet. And yeah, we can put in a French drain, we can put in catch basins with a sump pump, and we can definitely solve that problem. But let me show you why it stays so wet. Let's take a look. Let me change my work shirt, and we'll go ahead and get started. So you can see the little valley here on the fairway, and when it rains hard, of course, this is going to fill up with water, right? It fills up with water. Where does it go? Take a look. You can see further down the road. Can you see that really long gully? And of course, when it rains hard, this is all running that direction, but where does that water go? Same thing on the other side. You've got the fairway, which stays nice and dry, but the reason it stays dry is because this water filters down through the ground and disappears. There are no storm drains over here. Take a look. You see this giant bowl right here? There's no storm drain here. So what happens when it rains hard? Where does that water go? It's an interesting question. The golf course, of course, owns all of the golf course, but that's a separate entity than this street, which belongs to the Homeowners Association. And on their street, you can see another big bowl right here from the golf course, but on the Homeowners Association that has all these golf course front homes, they have storm drains. Can you see them here on the street? I'm just walking up to it. But this water over here does not go into this storm drain. This is owned by the Homeowners Association, and there is no storm drain there. It looks like there is, but there's not. And you can see the storm drains here on both sides of the street. Picks up all the water on the street, helps keep that street from going bad. See that? Storm. And you notice that this doesn't say city storm or county storm. There's no name on the storm. This is owned and maintained by this association. So can you see that white home over there? That is the area, that curb, that's Montreal Avenue. We're behind that house here on the fairway. You see that house? We worked on that curb over there, remember? And we fixed all those problems on that side, but we still have that on a maintenance clean. This fairway and part of this golf course here, about 8 acres, it all drains down underground and goes towards that curb, which is why they have such a problem. These detention ponds are working really great. They allow that water to dissipate, go down into the ground, and but it all travels over to that curb. And when the next detention pond is full, of course, the water level, the ground level is extremely high along that street. And that is why they have the problem. Typically, water travels down the curb drain between manholes. On this one, it turned and went around the manhole and continued down the street. That was very unusual, and that could be part of the problem here, right? From this storm drain, the 12-inch line travels across the street to the next storm drain and then turns and runs over to a detention pond. Remember what a detention pond is. Detention ponds only hold water for a short period of time. This one was supposed to hold water for 72 hours. This is almost 3 weeks after a rain. Can you see the water still standing there? A detention pond is designed to slowly let water drain into the ground. Let's zoom in. Remember, we cleaned this section out right here, the discharge. We cleaned that out one time. We used our jetter and cleaned from the manholes across the street all the way here to the detention pond. Again, detention pond, it means it only holds water for a short period of time. What happens is there is an overflow. Can you see that? This overflow keeps the sediment in the pond. And during big rain events, it allows that water to overflow into the next detention pond or wetlands or to the retention pond. Let's take a look at that. The water in the detention pond is really supposed to dissipate in 72 hours. If it rains hard and overflows, it travels down into the wetlands. This is the wetlands along the Gulf path. As that water runs downhill, it comes under the path and empties into a retention pond. This pond actually has a name, Duff Lake. As this water overflows in this pond, it ends up in a river nearby. So another point of reference from the map, you can see the storm drains. It went across the street. It went into a detention pond. And from the detention pond, it goes through the wetlands. It turns and comes over to an actual retention pond. This is Duff Lake. So because there are no storm drains on the fairway or anywhere on the golf course, it's all detention ponds. All of this water travels down the hill, and of course what it's doing is it's turning and coming over here and getting stopped up against that curb. This is the underground water. And it just backs up all through here. All these homes are in jeopardy of having a sinkhole. Our very first recommendation was to bring a 12-inch line from that fairway over to this manhole and tie it in. This would allow the fairway to drain to this manhole, and from this manhole across the street to the next manhole, which leads to a detention pond. And this would solve most of that problem. But according to the site developer, that pond that you see right there at the top left is only supposed to hold water for 72 hours. So they said, no, we can't do that. According to the engineer, the only water that is entering that detention pond comes from the curb. So it comes down the curb, from that manhole it goes to this manhole, and it runs over to the detention pond. It's been 3 weeks since the last rain, and you can see this pond is still holding water. It's been 3 weeks. That's a long time. Where's that water coming from? Why hasn't it dissipated? Why is there still water coming up and over the curb where the line has been replaced? As you look at this footage, you'll see that there's areas where the detention ponds are on the fairway. Notice how green they are. The problem exists because there's so much acreage here, and it is totally saturated. That water moves underground and over to that curb area and gets stopped by the street. And because there's two different entities, the golf course and the HOA, they cannot get along. So we need to get these guys to work together to solve this problem. The new section of curb drain that we installed is working great. However, they did not replace the entire line, so now we need to maintain that line. Let me show you what happens once we clean the line, it solves the problem. So I need to give you a point of reference. This manhole is 300 feet downstream from the manhole that the curb drain went around, and I'll show you that on the map. But look, there's no water coming out at all. Watch what happens when I clean this line. So when this line's not working, all that water that comes from the golf course, it ends up in the detention pond. It moves under the street and is causing the problems that these homeowners face. In other words, they're looking at sinkholes, the street collapsing, sidewalk caving in. This line is so important. So you can see me cleaning this line. This is the curb drain that's underground. It's a French drain. It's perforated pipe surrounded by gravel. It runs the length of the curb. It's like that in all municipalities. There is a curb drain that protects the curb and the street. Remember, we replaced a great deal of the curb drain all the way to this catch basin, which we're using as a clean out. This is where we ended the line. From here to the manhole was not replaced. And when you see what happens, once I clean this line, we're going to increase that flow from 0 to 100%. And this is going to take all of that water that has been going over to that detention pond underground under the street and put it into the storm drain. Let's walk down and take a look.
We've got a great flow of water. It's clearing up. No need for a jet truck. Cable came all the way through. We've solved that problem.
After we went down through there, if you look down in there, you'll see it.
Oh yeah.
It's much faster. That's why it's so important to clean the rest of the farm. But yeah, it's looking good. It's really good.
Now, did you put that in, or was that there?
This is where we went to.
Yep, you did that.
Yep. So again, a very simple drain clean, a maintenance. And it saved this association truly hundreds of thousands of dollars before they have to go ahead and install all new storm systems and rework that detention pond. If you've never priced that, or if you don't understand that, we're talking $500,000 to do all these ponds. Be sure to watch part 3, Detention Ponds and Rain Gardens. This is about how the city and the counties are not only keeping your yard dry, but solving the chemical and road spills that take place on our highways and streets. Rain gardens. Hey, this is Chuck with Apple Drains, reminding you that if you believe you can do something, I guarantee you can do it. Have a great day. Don't forget about live help. We've got the free live group help Saturday, March 27th at 9 a.m. Eastern. Subscribe and join in. We always have a great time, and you definitely learn a lot.